Well, my life story started in this way. Now I'm right now 36. So my life of early age is when I was 5 years old, and I do remember before the time around four, 3.5. My father was alcoholic, so my mother left my father because he was alcoholic. He could not take care of us, and my stepfather, the person who my mother married to, he was my stepfather who not had that love as my father had. Even though my father was alcoholic, but there's some way I have felt he never hit me actually. But my stepfather used to hit me a lot, even my mother. And finally, they put me in a bakery to work. And when I start working in a bakery, there was a tray bigger than me and heavier than me. So impossible for me to get it. And that time, I was working for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, around 2 rupees that I used to get. And my mother, they, and my stepfather and my two sisters was living on the rent in the North Mumbai, in Malad. So finally, I started working as a tea shop. They give me 2 rupees. In the tea shop, there was benefit. What? End of the day, you whatever leftover, like bhajia or vada or whatever leftover, I used to bring home. So I used to help my family to eat, get something. And I used to bring the tea to the factory, and I used to wash the glass and all. When I used to wash the glass, I used to break the glass. So my tea man used to peel, the boss used to peel my ear, and people was not very kind and very, like when they used to ask me tea or whatever, they used to hit me on my head or kick me on my bum. Chai le kya re? Get the tea. And when I used to go to factory and all, they used to pull my pants and all. So I was not very, very comfortable. I didn't know that it was a human being or animal, But right now I understand the situation, how you grow up wherever you are, the term condition make you in that way. If you live in a bad area in the bad condition, maybe you become that, like reflecting you. But of course, you have a choice in life. So one day I was playing, I was bringing tea to the factory, and I tripped, and I broke all the glasses, all the tea, and I got afraid. I didn't know what to do. I run and arrived to railway station in Malad, sit down the steps, thinking for hours and hours. Many children I saw, that some children begging, some children were singing, some children were doing wood polish, many characters, that what I never seen before. That's the only option I think I have. But in the end, there was one piece of potato lying on the street near the canteen on the railway station, and I was watching that piece of potato for a long time. In the end, I picked up that piece of potato and I ate it. I started thinking of my mother. I started crying. I went back home, but I could not enter in my home because I was so afraid. I knew what was going to happen to me. I ran. I came to railway station. I came to railway station. I just start doing all the children when I see them begging, pick up food from the garbage. The first night only somebody came and raped me. I could not understand why. Why is happening to me and why? All I knew is difficult for me, is painful for me. I could not understand. But in the end, I start living there for maybe 3 years or more. I start begging, I start robbing, I start doing all the things I have done that you could never ever imagine. Life is not easy for street boys and girls. Imagine being as a boy, it happened to me. Imagine what happened to girls. And in this country where you live, is one of the country where unrespect for the woman. And imagine the child, how the girl child survive in this country. We're talking about in this country spirituality, humanity, blah, blah, blah. We are so artificial. But truth, we disconnect with reality. We don't see. We talk about gods, Allah, Bhagwan, this and that. But we don't see there where important things are. We see that something what is not important in life. And that make me grow, understand, survive. Even the police, they try to rape me, they try to catch me. Somehow I survive. Then like this, at 4 o'clock morning, I was playing in the other railway station. And I saw one girl standing next to the canteen. And that was my sister, Sabira, who ran away from home looking for me. When I found, I could not imagine, like I found my sister. That's what I call the magic. Because 21 million people, 18, 19 million people, and you find, I found my sister. That's magic for me. And I thought, I'm big enough. I was 8 years old. I'm big enough to take care of my sister. But I was wrong. I was completely wrong. First night only somebody robbed my sister. I could not imagine where, who, where she gone, where she is, no idea. Because Sabira has a polio, one taxi man helped her to run away. If not, I don't know what could happen to Sabira. Again we met at the station, the other station, and next morning or third morning, there's one angel came, Sister Seraphine, who used to be a social worker in Snehasadan, my orphanage where I grew up. So when Sister Seraphine came, she was very sweet and very kind, you know, and I just took a stone and I hit her. But she don't got hurt. The stone gone from the side. And I said, go, if not, I will hit you. And I keep continue, and she 3 hours to 2 hours keep pushing. Baba, listen to me. Very sweet, very kind. Why sweet and kind was not exist for me? Because many people took me home. They took me home. They could make me either work, or they could make me as a servant, or they could do something what I was not very comfortable. You know. So they're sweet and kind. Many people came, but nobody came as a real unconditioned love. There's Sister Seraphine. Keep continue pushing, and finally we came to Snehasadan. And that's how it's the first time I found a home where there was more than 420 children. And we have different houses, house number 1, house number 2, house number 3, house number 3. But that was a beautiful home that ever I have seen and ever I had. I started going to school. I don't like study. I was very bad in the student. But you tell me to game, to play or watch movie, I'm number 1. But if you tell me to sit down and study, not possible. And I was not very good student also because teacher used to call me donkey. So always make fun of me because I was the biggest in the class. Me and other 2 boys. We was biggest in the class. So they make fun of us and make us sitting in the last bench, you know. So there's something internal that I was not very interested for study. You know, very difficult for me to understand the words, writing or explaining, you know. It was not that easy. Like example, teacher is talking and we have to write it down. I could not do it so comfortable. But my sister was very good. And finally, one day I wanted to play football, you know. And I went to Father Placido. Father Placido Fonseca, you see sharing is caring? Yeah. That's Father Placido Fonseca, who is the director of our Snehasadan. Father Placido has put 43,000 children in the society like me in 53 years time. And he is my mirror. So I always watch him that this man can change 43,000 children life. Why not me one life? And that's something always I observe him. And after 6 to 8 months, I ran away again from Snehasadan, you know. And I came back to railway station. And Father Placido was looking for me for 3 days. He found me and he brought me back to Snehasadan. So I wanted to play football as an official player. And I went told Father Placido, I want to play football. I want to buy our shoes. Father Placido said, how many children we have in the Snehasadan? I said 420, 430. Which children has a shoes? So I said, Father, no matter what, I want to play football, so I want to buy a shoe. So Father Placido said, okay, then you must start working. So I started working as a newspaper boy. I thought my salary was 60 rupees. So that means if I work for 6 to 8 months, then I can buy my shoes. But I worked for 10 years and never buy my shoes. Because none of my friends has a shoes. So dream change, moment change, life change. And finally, after 12 years, they found my parents, father and social worker. And now is the time for me to go back home. And I hate it. I don't want it to go back. There's no way I wanted to go back. And I went back and finally I came back to again on the street. I started living on the street for 1 year. I live on the street for 1 year. And there is something changed. You know, and Father Placido saw that. He came back on the street. He looked at me and he said, you're not going to stay on the street. Because Father Placido is such a person that he always finds the place for the boys and girls to make sure that they don't go on the street. So he found me the job with Eustace Fernandez, where I start working as his man Friday. You know, I start working with him as a man Friday. I don't speak single word English because as I told you, I was not very good in the study. So my education was only 7th class, ulti palti, municipality pass. That was my education. And I don't like the education in that moment in a way, because the way teachers and all the people was trying to teach and make you feel like lower than others, and that was not something very easy for me. So in that way, I hate education. Actually, I don't like it education. Something what I don't like, including my parents, even they have no home, no place to stay. They keep having child. So they have 3 children. Do you think it's fair? Did child decided to tell Mama, Papa, I want to come to this world? It's the parents who decided to bring the child in this world. When you know that you cannot take care of your responsibility, you have no right to bring one child to this planet. Because children don't decide to say, Papa, Mama, I want to come to this world. It's your selfish idea, selfish reason that you want to have something and you want to look up to. And in this country, most of children born as an insurance, what I call them, like me. I don't born as a love and care. I born in this country as an insurance. So my parents can depend on me, so they think I will look after them. But time is changing. Now there is no people who want to take care of the parents or whatever. They want to kick their bum and say, please, live my life. Allow me to live my life. So I think people have to be very careful. When you know that you don't know how to take care of your responsibility, I think nobody has a right to bring one child to this planet. And that's how I learned from Eustace when I came to Eustace. Eustace was a very famous artist who created Amul Girl, Atli Batli. I started working with him. I started meeting people from around the world, from Spain, from London, from America, from Canada, from Australia. Now I get to know the world is beyond this. Before my world was only Bombay, India. I could not understand there's a world beyond this. And I start meeting people. When I start meeting people, there I don't speak English. My Hindi was very rough and tough. My English was, I'm coming, you're going, you're eating, you're waiting, thank you, and all this kind of thing. So finally, it gave me ability to myself that I must learn English. I must have a communication with people. There's something I become very stubborn. Even though I used to speak bad English, people used to laugh at me. I used to continue speaking. And that's how I started speaking English. And Eustace in that way, he gave me a lot of support. Even I made the mistake, he never laughed at me. He said, that's okay, that's fine. And that's how I start. So after working for 4 years with him, every Christmas he give me special present. One Christmas he give me jeans, one Christmas he give me a t-shirt, one Christmas he give me shoes. Now I have things much more than before. And finally, 2002, when he asked me, what do you want for Christmas? I told him, take me to Spain.